Sitting before me is a phoenix who has risen from the bottom. 3 years ago or so, 4 years ago maybe, Jay was in the studio with us. We were in the actual radio station studio, and he was telling stories about one time you were like, I go, you're hooking up now, you're single, and you're like, no, I don't want to. I have erectile dysfunction. You were saying like all these things, and I go, really? And you're like, I'm on medication and it's killing my sex drive and I don't have it. And I go, Jay, this may be the most honest guest I've ever had on the show. And I didn't, like, I felt bad because I felt like you were in pain, but I knew you'd be okay. And then, we had you on after that. You were funny. It was good. But now, look at you now.
Turns out that medication was crack.
It was
Turns out I had to go to rehab to get off that medication.
Well, you know what I mean? It's the big first step there. Oh. How long have you been sober?
3 years. Tuesday was 3 years.
Good. Congratulations.
I love it. It's the best.
Sober, married?
Yeah.
I mean, you really bounced back hard.
Wow, we haven't spoken because your cruise last year.
And you were dating the last time we had you on.
Mark Cuban. Yeah, me and Mark Cuban. Me and James Dolan are getting
How do you meet Jeannie?
I interviewed her on my radio show, and I just imagined that I caught feels over the radio, over the phone.
Oh, just on the phone, yeah.
I was like, man, I think there's something here.
Yeah.
Totally imagined it. So then on Twitter, I DM'd her and I said, you should do my podcast. We could really
sit down.
Yeah. And then she agreed. And I was like, oh, shoot. But I had just left my house. I walked out of I was done with the marriage. I was staying at the Beverly Hills Hotel. And while she was on the way to the hotel to come see me, I realized, it's just a bed and a chair. This is totally inappropriate.
Yeah,
so I went downstairs. I got this massive suite and redid my room. And then I ran back upstairs. And she said she was there. So I had to go. And I just remember she came off the elevator and it was slow motion.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a green elevator door, palm tree carpet in the elevator. I remember it.
Now, and how was she with you? Was it same with you, or did you grow on her like a fungus?
I was a fixer-upper.
Yeah. Most women like that, though.
Yeah. You know what she said? She saw me do stand-up a month after that, and I went on stage at the Melrose Improv, and she said I kept taking things out of my pockets and putting it on the piano. I took out a can of chewing tobacco, then I took out my wallet, I put it on the piano, and then I took out my car keys, I put it on the... And she's like, oh, he's a mess.
Yeah.
I could, yeah.
She wanted to fix you?
I guess, but
well, clearly you hit it off in the podcast.
We're not ugly guys, we just, yeah. No. So it's and then we just started hanging.
Yeah.
And then we started hanging all the time. And then we got married. So she was at my intervention. March 11th, 2021, I was just...
So she was there during the really bad times.
Yeah.
If she could love you then.
If life is fair, I wouldn't be married to her.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be alive. So you got to tell a lie to get a drug addict to their intervention.
Right.
You can't outthink us.
Who brought you in?
Skylar Stone.
Skylar did?
Skylar Stone. It was my agent, Matt Frost, and Skylar Stone.
Frosty and Skylar. That's some good hair right there between the two of them.
One of them paid for it. Yeah. How about this hair? What are you talking about?
You know what, though? I didn't want to say anything right out of the gate.
$30,000 haircut.
Were they replants?
Yeah.
He had that. Don't judge him now because he shaved it off, but it grew
Why
out
would
of control.
You shave your head if you got this?
He's been through a lot.
Yeah, I was losing my hair.
He's putting stuff on the piano, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Not drugs, just mentally.
It's all right. He's got a sweater vest in Tampa. I love him.
And he cut off the sleeves to his shirt.
That's right.
And he's wearing puka beads.
Yeah, mala beads.
Whatever. Okay, so you Frosty and Skylar.
Skylar told me for
you.
my podcast the next morning, he got me Wu-Tang Clan.
Oh.
And I was like, what? He goes, yeah, but it's coming they can only do tomorrow at 8 a.m.
The RZA and the Jizza.
And the
whole group.
Yeah. So I was so high, Mike, that I believed that.
What were we on for real? What was the drug? Adderall.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just couldn't stop.
Yeah.
All the time, all day, every day.
It's legal cocaine.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it is.
So why did I buy it from prostitutes? If I could have just gotten a prescription. Oh, I did have 2 prescriptions. That's right. And so I go to my, I was so high, I thought, okay, this is the level of disconnect.
Right.
This is the fantasy world. I thought Wu-Tang Clan was coming to my house
at 8 a.m.
at 8 o'clock in the morning.
I
I thought do you listen to Wu-Tang Clan?
I do.
Well, then you know they're not morning people.
They're not morning people.
Probably not.
I thought the 8 blackest men alive were going to set 8 different alarm clocks and take 8 different showers
To be there.
so they could walk into my cracker house.
Right,
So I could help them with their career.
yeah, right.
Woo-hoo!
Jay Mohr is going to help us
Give
out.
them the little push they need to get over that 50 billion mark. So I walk into my podcast room and my producer's there. Skylar walks in. I'm like, well, he booked it. That's normal.
Okay.
Jeannie comes downstairs. I'm like, well, we live
You
together.
didn't feel like Goodfellas when Tommy walks in, thinks he's going to get made? No, like you.
So
like,
then my son's nanny is there. She doesn't speak English. She's just like holding a rosary on a couch. Dios mío, borracho mejor. My sisters from New Jersey are there.
Oh, man.
Mike, I'm so high. I go, you guys got to get the fuck out of here.
Whoa,
Oh, sorry. I thought we were on the internet.
That's right.
All right, I want to wait for
You
this.
guys got to get the F out.
I'm like, you guys got to get the hell out of here. Wu-Tang Clan's coming over.
So you didn't even realize.
I was out of my mind.
What
And
was
then I saw
happening?
the interventionist, and I was like, oh, wait a minute. Because he was a skinhead, and he was like an old meth guy. You never really lose that look.
Yeah.
And he had a swastika he was having removed.
Well, it's like he's still keeping it after all?
tattooed to his head. And I'm like, okay, I don't think that guy came with Wu-Tang.
Right.
But then he had no teeth, and he's talking to me with no teeth.
Oh, they couldn't get a better guy?
It worked. The most important day of my life. He's like, these people love me, but they're not gonna love me to death. And I was like, maybe this guy did come with Wu-Tang because he's got bars. My man's slinging it right now. Yeah, so I went to an all men's Christian rehab.
Oh, for how long?
A month. Beans, rice, and Jesus Christ.
Oh, man.
I was the only white guy. If you think it's weird being the old guy at the club, be
Yeah.
the old guy in rehab.
Wow.
I mean, there were 20-year-olds.
Why who picks the, I don't know. Like, I would imagine you going to the top
At
of the
that
top
point, you're
rehab.
like, I don't think that would have worked.
No? You had to really be at the rock bottom spot?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I mean, because you couldn't be distracted. It's just dudes.
Yeah.
And it was all vatos. Like, just they got up at 4 a.m. and read their Bible, like, orale.
You remember Scott Hall, the wrestler?
Yeah.
Okay, so Scott been on the show a lot.
Love
And he got sent to a rehab that was like somewhere on the beach out here. And he was like, oh, this would be great. But he came in here one day. He's like, yeah, I'm in the rehab. This girl prostitute in the parking lot. The guy inside selling drugs. He's like, it was worse than actually being,
Chico.
Exactly. So, okay, well,
Probably
good.
my
So
favorite wrestler of all time.
Scott, he was a handful, man. He was fun to mess around with.
Rest in peace, Scott.
So you get healthy, you come out of the rehab, and you're like, I'm a new man right out of the gate.
Well, after that 1 month was up, there was a Zoom call with my friend Chappie, who lives in Boston, who's sober, and Frosty on a Zoom call. Matt Frost.
Yeah.
And I thought they were gonna like argue over who got to come pick me up, and
Yeah.
instead they held up a brochure for another rehab.
Oh man.
It said, "Now that you've done this, now you go to the other place."
So you can go to the nice place and
Nobody's like crazy for you to come home in 30 days. They're like,
Right.
it's been nice and quiet since you've been gone.
Yeah.
Right? And I was so nuts, and I was like, oh, they tricked me again. Like, I'm done. I'm ready to come home.
Is Wu-Tang going to be there?
Where's Ghostface? But here's the thing. My whole life, there's never been a gap between thought and action. It's always just compulsivity. Just if I think of using drugs, I'm already on my way there. If I'm eating, I'm eating. If I'm seeing, I'm already doing it. But in those 30 days, this little gap opened up between thought and action. So the thought of you guys can go F yourselves and how dare you is there, but there's that gap between the action, and in that little gap is when I just went, okay.
yeah.
So that's, you hear about it's a game of seconds and inches.
Uh-huh.
That was my seconds and inches. So the more I stay sober, the more I go to meetings and do all that stuff and roll with this guy and call him and check in with him, and the more I do help somebody else, that gap just keeps, like if I think of using drugs and it gets so far apart that it's not even
Good.
but if I stop doing it, if I start taking shortcuts, then it
Come right back.
it gets accelerated, right? So, but this scares me so much that I look. My intervention, my thought was, if I got to be sober, I'm gonna out sober everybody. I'm gonna be the
The
greatest,
best most soberest guy
like,
ever.
okay,
Yeah.
bet. Because honestly, Mike, it's the first thing in my life I've ever done 100%.
Yeah.
Stand up, acting, girls, wrestling, coaching wrestling. I've always given my maximum effort my whole life, 85%. It looks like 100.
Right.
Because I'm a genius at that. But I always got that reserve tank of not, because if I give 100% and fail, I don't know if I can live with that, and how you're going to think about me. 'Cause
Sure.
it's such a disease of perception.
How do you deal with?
Also, if I give 100% and succeed, then you're going to really look at me.
Yeah.
And that scares me even worse. Fear of success.